I just want you to know that this is our break, so don't talk to me, please.
Take these glasses off. There you are, Malachi. Malachi, I didn't. At 8:15 is when our guardian class, school class starts. You're not a part-time student. What happened? Do you not expect to be in school at 8:15? Is that a different? Do you have a different agreement, or were you just late this morning? Can everybody hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. All righty. So we'll wait till he comes in. Let's see here. Asala, you should be in your TeamSpeak class as well. Okay. This is our backup. Okay. So would you please move to your TeamSpeak class? Ayodele, TeamSpeak. Very good. Thank you very much. Everybody just go there. I know it may seem redundant to you. And it's, but things happen technologically. Okay. So first we do a checkup, all right? You have the assignment. I'm signing on to Mukanda. And so just report. Have you put any pieces in this week? I want to hear about them.
I got the pieces, but I didn't submit them in the classroom.
Okay, tell us about what pieces did you get?
All right, so one, I asked my grandmother, my Umi, my father's mother, what was the hardest thing that she went through in life, and she told me about it. Did you want me to like answer it or just like?
Yeah, just a little bit. You don't have to give us all our details. So no, you're doing it right. So you asked her the hardest thing that she endured in life.
Yeah, and how she overcame it. Mm-hmm. Basically, the hardest thing she was telling me was when she lost her daughter, which was my father's sister, due to a car accident. Well, she got hit by a car, not a car accident. She was just saying how she trusted in God, and eventually she overcame it, but it's like still with her. Mm-hmm. And then my second piece was I believe my mother told me this like months ago, but Lena Horne, the Good Witch from The Wiz, is our like great cousin, something like that. Mm-hmm. I need to still see how many greats it is.
That's great. And Lena Horne had a tremendous career way before The Wiz. Okay, so you might check that out. Love that connection. Please put it in. You're putting it in two places, right? You're putting it in the assignment page and you're putting it in the blog. Right? That's what they're saying.
My personal blog or the blog for the class?
Is there a blog for the class that was created last year? It'll be your personal blog. I'm looking. Do we have a blog for the class?
No.
No, there's not.
Well, how about let me do that? Let's make that happen. Go to admin, go to configure. What we need. What do we need? Okay. Until I figure out how to get that blog there, would you put it in the wiki? I don't see a wiki there either. Are you kidding me? All righty. So that means I'm going to figure this out. While I'm figuring this out, someone else give me a report. Thank you, Kadira, of the two pieces that you included this week. What was the second piece? Oh, Lena Horne. Yes. You're great. How many greats you got to figure out? Okay. Thank you very much.
I didn't get any of the questions answered, but I found one piece that I have Syrian, European, Black, Indian, and Cuban inside of my blood. I think it's my great grandfather on either my mother or my father's side is European, the great grandfather. And then one is Syrian on my mother's side, I believe. And then I'm black on both sides. And then an Indian is my mom's side, and Cuban on my mom's side as well.
Mm-hmm. And you placed this in your first. How did you discover this?
When I was doing one of my shoots, and we were going over a line that was talking about the superhuman, and my mom said, "You have Syrian and European, black and Cuban inside of your blood. You could say that inside of your line." And I was like, I never knew that. And I wrote that down.
So you learned it from your mother?
Yes, sir.
And did you write down the day she told you? Like whenever, essentially it was an impromptu piece. So when you go into your page, you write down your source. You write down when you got it, what she said. You put it as much you can in quotation marks if you know that's accurately what she said. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So so you have an assignment every week, and so you go to that assignment page and you put it there. And in a minute, I'm going to. You'll also be able to have a blog there, your own, so that we keep you keep a listing.
Yes, and it was last Saturday, which was the.
You don't have to tell me now. You just figure it out and put it in. All right. All right. So you have one piece. That means you're one piece behind for this week. Okay. Malachi, are you present? Malachi, are you present?
Yes, sir.
All right. Would you please answer the question?
Well, I got a lot of pieces from my family, but I didn't ask the question to my grandfather.
Well, what did you get, sir? You said you got a lot of pieces, so that shouldn't be difficult for you to identify one.
Yeah, I'm loading up the page.
Okay. Now, whenever we are in this class, whatever class you go to, load up whatever page you need to load up. Okay. So that it's
okay.
Really easy. And I'm not just talking to you. I'm talking about everybody. So when you're called on, then you're ready. Okay. So, what you got? What you got?
It's still loading.
All right. I will move on. You double back and let me know what you have. All right. All right. Blog and wiki are coming up. You should see a blog there on your left-hand side now. Got it? All righty.
Okay, I got 2 pieces.
Okay. What do you have?
My Uncle Ed, he left his home at the age of 16 to join the Air Force in the 1960s, I believe.
Okay.
And my grandfather that lives with me right now, he was in the Marines at the age of 22 in the 1970s.
Okay, so that's a good start. So how do you turn that into a story or information, more information? So you have those 2 facts, 2 uncles, one Navy, one the Marines, right?
Yes,
Okay, and now did you ask the one who lives with you now, anything about that? You asked him to tell you about his experience at all?
Yes.
You recorded it?
No.
All right. Do all of you have a way to record when you're talking to people?
Yes, but not when I do it over the phone.
Oh, that's really easy to do when you do it over the phone. There are two ways for you to do that. Most times, your phone has software that will allow you to record. Okay, just go to Google Play Store if it's Android or whatever, and search for something that will record. Make sure then you tell the person I'm going to start recording. Just a second, Kendra. The other is you can you can arrange an appointment to talk to someone using Aya's conference room that automatically records. Okay. Another way is I've asked each one of you to set up your own Zoom room. Have you done that? I know Kennedy has.
I don't recall you saying that.
I did. And here's how you do it. You just go to zoom.us, set it up. It costs you, got it? It'll be just like this room. And this room is being recorded. Here's the difference. You're limited to 40 minutes. I doubt your interview is going to be more than 40 minutes. And if it is, say, you know what, it's time for a break. And then let me send you the link to the new room. You just start a new meeting. Okay? And so now, how does that handle the phone? Well, guess what, Adonijah? People can call into your room by phone, not by computer. And you can record it. How about that? Will that work?
Yeah.
All right. All it is a problem and search for a solution. All right. So I want you to record as much as you can. And when you're talking to someone, if you get a chance and they're talking, say, just a minute, go get your notebook. Take great notes. Know who you're talking to, what the date is, because these are treasured sources that you have here. Okay, Malachi, is it loaded yet? Oh, no, you said it's loaded and you gave me those two pieces. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, now Mama Etna asked you to ask a question. Other than Kadira, who has asked that question?
I have.
What you get? What question did you ask? Ayodele, what did you get?
I asked my Uncle Mike, I think it's great Uncle Mike, I'm not sure, what was the toughest time in his life and how did he get through it? He couldn't tell me like the toughest of his stuff, but he told me he could remember like when he didn't have any food to eat and when he had no
Pretty
job.
tough.
And
Pretty
he
tough.
just like said he believed in God to help him get through it.
So here's one of the things that you're learning. In order to get some details, sometimes you have to ask questions differently, right?
Yeah.
The hardest time, I didn't have anything to eat, which is definitely a hard time, and I didn't have a job. But in terms of how did they get through it, people often gloss over it. They give, I don't mean it's not true, but they give you the glossed over version versus the detailed version, okay? So you're going to have to learn to become an expert interviewer in order for you to get that good data. Now, what you're doing when you get that data is you're getting expertise. What does that mean? Most times when we think of our story and our past, either as a people or our family, we think of two things, inspiration and identity. Type those down. Because there's a third one that I want you to have. We think of often inspiration and identity. Okay?
When you say type that down, do you mean that write that down on the paper or type it in the chat?
You can type in the text chat or write it in the paper, on your paper. However, what I want some fingers moving, because your fingers moving encourages your brain. It links you in.
Could you repeat that, please?
Yes. Most times when we study the past, our collective history as a people or our individual history, we benefit by gaining inspiration and identity. The key words are inspiration and identity. We study the past for inspiration and identity. Now, does everybody understand that? If not, so what do I mean by that, Adai? You seem to be frowning about that.
You said inspiration and identity?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what was the complete? I think I understood it, but what was the complete thing you said about inspiration and identity?
When we study the stories of the past, our history, either collectively or individually, most times we study that history for identity, or we gain from studying that history, identity and inspiration.
And you want me to say what I understand about that?
Sure. And Asala, I want you to move your camera down.
All right.
You Deli, move your camera down. I don't want you cutting off faces.
All right. Inspiration is like maybe tales of or stories of in the past we doing like winning an inspiring story. For example, I just learned this story maybe this week about my great grandfather. He was a bunch of white men came, well, I think it was, I don't remember how many grades it was, but a bunch of white men came into his room and he took an axe and threw it and cut off one of their heads. And that's an inspiring story because when he went to court, he won the court case.
Yes, they weren't just a bunch of white men; they were Klansmen coming to lynch him. Don't forget that part.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So that's an inspiring story. Good. So that's inspiration. Now, what's identity? Donija.
The identity part of that would be, so once you learn from your roots, you understand who you are as an individual, and you'll form your identity in the makings of who you are and who you were.
Very good. Everybody, excellent, Donija. Everybody, look up 30 seconds. Put your link, what you find, not your link. Put what you find in the text chat. Don't wait for somebody else to do it. What is identity? Adonijah says you learn about who you are, and that's your identity. What else do you find? Do you find anything else that's interesting? Identity.
What if we already know what it means? Can we go off our memory as well?
Yes, you can. Just type in the text chat. Somebody, y'all find something else other than just a normal Google one, okay? Go to dictionary.com, all right? Google just does a good job. It'll pull the first one. But when you already see that, go find another one. Somebody else go to Wikipedia and see what Wikipedia says. All right. So the fact of being who or what a person is. Thank you, everybody. You're established by psychological identification, your distinguishing character, personality in the individual, a sameness, and all that constitutes the objective reality of a being, oneness. Okay, so by knowing, if let's say like this, suppose you went outside, was playing, slipped, fell, bumped your head, woke up, and had amnesia. You didn't know your name. You didn't recognize anybody in your family. You didn't even know why you were there at that house. You had amnesia. Would you have an identity problem?
Yes.
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 NDO, you would.
If this man comes outside and says, Kadira, what's wrong? And you never recognize him. What might you say, Kadira?
Who am I, or who are you?
Who are you? Well, I'm your father, Kadira. Don't you remember me?
No, I have amnesia.
You wouldn't even know you have amnesia. Right? If you woke up, you wouldn't know you had amnesia. You would just be where you are. So your identity is directly connected to knowing who your family is and who your culture is, what your culture is, and who your people are. Okay, so that's what history generally does. There's another part that we often miss, though, when we're studying our history. Okay, we got those two, and they're critical. Inspiration is critical, and identity is critical. There's another part, and that is expertise. Type that word in the text chat, because we're going to be going after expertise, as well as identity, as well as inspiration. What do I mean by expertise and lost expertise?
May you please repeat the last one? You said lost or lost?
I'm just going to tell you one that I've lost. That I lost. It's a loss for me. My grandfather, his name is Marsh Tucker. He's passed now. He built houses for people. He built houses. The house that my grandparents lived in, the only house that I knew that they lived in, he built it. Now, I am proud that he built houses, right? That's inspiration. Let me know I can do things. I'm also, as part of my identity, okay, my other grandfather, chopped the white man's head off when he tried to come and steal his stuff. I chopped it off, just cut it off, decapitated him. So that inspires me to defend myself and my family, my property.
Wait, I have a question about that.
Yes.
So he just grabbed an axe and from his own will, he launched it and clean chopped the man's head off?
That's what he did. He was very good.
That's cool.
Right. They came to his bed, at the end of his bed, tried to get him out of the bed to lynch him. He said, well, let me put my shoes on. And he leaned to the side of the bed as if to put his shoes on, because his shoes were right next to his bed. And they didn't know that he had an axe there, okay? And he slung the axe expertly. Head gone. The other two ran. Okay? All right. So his anyway, that's that. So I get inspiration. But now there's also something. There are two. One is a great grandfather, probably great grandfather, and the other one is a grandfather. I don't know how to build houses. How come my grandfather knows how to build houses and I don't even know how to build houses? I wouldn't know the first thing to do. I could guess, but I wouldn't even know the first thing to do. I don't mean that I'm not as good as this. I just don't even know how to build houses at all. I mean, I know generally you got to build a foundation, but I don't even know how you do that. You think there's some lost expertise? Don't you think it would be cool if I knew how to build a house?
It can be useful to know.
Yeah, it would be very useful. I could at least build my own doghouse, right? I could build my own shed out back for my stuff, right? Might even could, if I hired someone, I would be able to judge whether that person was really doing a good job, right? And overcharging me if I had that expertise. You think? I'd better be able to evaluate who could do the job well. Because there are many things that I can do that I don't have time to do. But because I can do them, then I can choose someone who I believe knows how to do it, and I can tell whether they know how to do it. Because I'm not doing it because I don't know how. I'm not doing it because I don't have time. I'm choosing to do something else. You see what I'm saying? But I didn't ask my grandfather at all about how does he build houses. That knowledge. My other great grandfather, I would love to know how to sling an axe so it could cleanly decapitate someone. I would really love to know how to do that. That could add that to my self-defense arsenal. You know? I don't know how long it was. I don't know whether it was like a half axe or whatever. I would love to have that skill, you know. Here we go. But the expertise is gone. So when you ask Ayodele and others, how'd you get through it? You got to figure out how to get that information, that how-to information. Does that make sense, y'all? Okay. All right.
You did tell me like another thing, like
Okay.
to get more information. He said he had some type of time in Mississippi, and he told me to ask like my great aunt or whatever on the weekends to tell me about that. Since he couldn't quite remember it, but she was there, so she knows all the stories and everything from the family.
Wow. And so guess who is going to be the repository of stories from the family in the future?
Me.
That's right.
Us.
That's right. Each one of you. Because that's a function that has just dropped off. Right? My mother was the person who gathered a lot of the stories. I'm only now catching up, trying to catch up. And she's gone. You know, in Africa, there's a proverb that when an elder dies, a library burns.
That proverb is so true.
And so, so what you're doing is really, really important. It's important for your family line. There are going to be generations beyond you, correct? Do you expect there to be generations beyond you? I want you to imagine 7 generations beyond you. That would be, you have children and your children have children. That's how many generations?
3.
Beyond you.
Oh, 2.
2. So now that when your children have children, that's your what? Grandchild, right?
Yes.
When your children, your grandchildren have children, that's your great-grandchildren, right? Now we're at 3. And when they have children, that's your great-great-great-grandchildren. And when they have children, that's your great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren. Okay? You get the picture?
Yeah.
So now, how are they going to know what you learned and what you're learning about 2 and 3 generations back?
By passing the knowledge down.
When do we do that?
Once we have children?
There's
Well, I've had children, but my mother's stories are not passed down because I don't know many of them. See, we have to have a place to hold them. Okay. All right. So that's part of what we're doing. We're looking at our stories and we're looking for three things: inspiration, identity, and also expertise. All right. So more and more, here's one thing that I want you to ask. Another, add to the question that you're already asking. Another question. I want you to type this in the text chat or in your notebook, or both. I want you to ask your parents or grandparents or uncles, aunts, to think of a time when there was a challenge or problem where their presence made a difference. All right, I'll wait till you type that or write that. Think of a problem or challenge that they faced or that the family faced, or even that even that they may have faced at work. Think of a problem or a challenge that they faced or the family faced or at their work, where their presence made a difference. All right, type that part. Tell me when you're done. I'll give you the next part.
I'm done.
Okay.
All right, Asala says she's done.
I'm done.
Okay. AJ, you got it? All right, next part. Well, Malachi, you got it? Malachi?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I can't see your face, Malachi, so read what you have. Malachi, read what you have. Malachi. Okay, Malachi, what we're going to have to do is I'm going to have to, not now, but I'm going to install Team Viewer on your computer so that I can see your computer because I can't see your face and your interaction is slow. I want to be able to either both help you on your computer, also see, I'll be able to see your screen. So whatever is on your screen, Barbara Kessler will be able to see. Okay. So we'll talk about that. All right, here's the second part. After they've thought of the time when there was a problem or a challenge where their presence made a difference, ask them to tell you what they did. All right, so let's practice that right now with each other. Who's the oldest person in this room besides me?
I don't know. I'm 16.
How old are you, AJ?
16.
16.
I'm 16 too.
All right. Who was born when?
I was born August 13th.
I was born July 21st.
All right, Kadira, you win the prize. And AJ, you'll be next. We'll ask this question of both of you.
When I make him older? When I make him older since his birthday is first?
Your birthday. Oh, you're right. So he becomes a month older than you. Thank you very much. AJ, you're on the spot.
Okay.
So someone asked AJ that question.
Think of a time or challenge that you faced or your family faced where you or your family were the solution.
No, I didn't say you or your family were the solution. I didn't say you were the solution at all. Okay? Here's why, Kennedy. Saying your solution means maybe the problem wasn't even solved. The words are really important. I said where your presence made a difference. Right? That is, if there was a flood, all right, and we may have not had a solution to it, we may have all had to get out. At the same time, I may have made a difference by working to save my sisters. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Kenny, do you see the difference in the question? When I
Yes.
give you specific questions, I want you to know how to go from there. After you ask that question, then you may extrapolate. But I just want all of you to get what the difference. All right? So would you re-ask that question, Kennedy? So AJ can answer.
Think of a time or challenge that they faced or their family faced where your presence made a difference.
Okay, so one would be pretty recently, actually. Money was kind of slow because some things didn't work out as they should for my mother, and I have a job. So having a job, I was able to have income, and so I was able to help her out to get down here and cover some expenses that I could. So that's where I made a difference on coming down to New Jersey for the wedding.
Mo.
All right, so now what did you hear, Kennedy, that he did specifically?
He had a job and he used his money to help his parents. His money to help his mom. To help his mom cover some expenses that they had.
You missed a little bit right at the end. It was cover expenses. It was in their move from New Jersey to here. Okay. And so you could, when they say that, you make sure you understand the problem. And then when they saying what they did, make sure you listen for it. And then you can do a follow-up question. Like, what kind of job did you have? Tell us about that.
Well, I think I may have answered that incorrectly. I meant from Georgia to New Jersey for the wedding. That's what I meant by that. Okay.
All right.
And answer to your question, the kind of job I have is landscaping. I work under Serenity Falls water gardens, and sometimes I work on their estates, like blowing, weeding, raking, whatever they need to get done. And sometimes I go move other places and go help install waterfalls and ponds and stuff.
Excellent. Now, do y'all see what my follow-up question did? Okay.
Give you more details and information.
And expertise is skill. Okay. Many times we don't know. We might not. We just heard he had a job. I mean, he could have been bagging grocery at Publix. Not that that would be a bad thing. That was fine. It's a way to make money. He wasn't doing that. He was landscaping. So if I'm trying to do some landscaping, I might say, I got a problem. What do you think about it? Because now I know he has that experience and expertise. Y'all understand? Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
From him telling me one thing, and then I followed up on that. He said he had a job. I don't know what kind of job it was. You want to be able to see a picture in your mind. So he's landscaping, establishing waterfalls. Great. It's really great, man. I'm glad you know how to do that. You're learning how to do that. And also great that you, help your family. What made you, do that as opposed to just saying, this is mine, get there the best way you can?
Because it's my family. We have to work together to get where we need to go. I can't just be selfish like that. I don't know. That sounds disgusting to say something like that. I don't know. I would never do that.
Very good. So now I'm getting some of his values. I can even use that as a quote. It's disgusting not to help your family. Right? That's what he said, right? It's kind of disgusting even to think about that. Tells me something about him, right? Mm-hmm. So if I'm telling a story later on, that's like, generations down. So let me tell you about your great-grandfather, Adonijah. Let me tell you the kind of man he was. Even when he was 15 years old, when his mother needed some help, his money was tight, he was working. He was doing some landscaping, helping people fix their lawns, and even helping to install waterfalls. And he took that money and he gave his mother some of that money so that she could get to the wedding. And when somebody asked him like why he did it, he's like, "Oh, that's disgusting. You even asked that question. It's my family. Certainly, I'm going to help them, right?" And all I got is from what he just gave me, right? From what Kennedy's initial question. All right, that's a lot better than once upon a time. Great granddaddy Adonijah gave some money to mama, to Big Mama, right? You don't want just a list. So you're asking for it. Anytime someone tells you something they did, you want to ask them how they did it. Here, he made a difference. That tells you something about it. Now, that's a key thing when you wanting to know somebody to tell you about their expertise, about them or about something they did. Ask them to think of a time when they made a difference. Okay. There were people in my family who solved problems. Whenever there was a family conflict, they would always call Aunt Vivian. But I didn't ask Aunt Vivian, how did she resolve those conflicts? See, it takes expertise to resolve conflicts, right? Very often they're called mediators or counselors. Well, guess what? In our families, we always had someone who could calm things down, right? Help people get along. How do they do it? Okay, so I want you to think as you're researching, not only what, but also think about how, think about why. All right? As you're asking these questions and getting them. And you don't have to get them all at one time. You can go back and ask for follow-up questions. Okay? All right, and I promised you that there's another technique that we're going to try. Okay? And it's a game. So first let me tell you how I came about it. And so there's a short trailer. I'll take you down the same path that I went down because I first found the trailer. All righty. Here's the trailer. Type started when yours has started.
I don't
See it.
Me neither.
Me neither.
You don't see it? Oh, I know why. Ooh, I put it in a text message to somebody. You ever did that? That's terrible. They're going to like, what is that? Well, guess.
Mine started.
Okay, so that y'all weren't able to see it?
I saw it. Well, I saw the.
I mean, just the trailer. So you weren't able to see the trailer?
Yeah.
There-
I mean, no, I was able to see it.
Okay. All right. Okay, Ayodela, you weren't able to see it. I got that. It's okay. It's so here's a movie called Rememory. And that's not so important except for when I got from there, then I got to because I'm a researcher. I love to search for things. Let's see if you can, if this one may or may not be restricted. Okay. Click on that link, please.
Hello, Baba Wakesa.
Yes.
I'm done.
Okay, what were the 3 prompts?
The 3 things, it was close your eyes, imagine the things that were good in your life, and then the best thing. And then imagine one of the worst times in your life, and then open your eyes.
I'm not talking about from the movie. I'm talking about from the last video that I just put in.
Oh, I just started it.
Okay, start that on. Because there's a game called a Rememory game. And we're going to create an FLP memory game.
Mine's is not loading.
Yours is not loading?
Yes, I'm pressing the play, but nothing's happening.
It's only 58 seconds. Gee whiz, it can't be big. Is everybody done else? Asala, you were able to play it? Adai? Hola? All right, so this is a person in the library. What did she say? In that game, there was a rememory box, and what was in there? What was in the box?
It was memories from relatives, and they all put it in the box.
Nope.
What?
There are no memories from relatives in the box.
There are different cards inside of the box, and you have to pick 3 cards or how many people is around you. And then you go off of those that picked it, and you have to use those 3 prompts. And those prompts that you use, there's other cards, and I don't remember the rest.
Very good. There are 3 cards that you pull out. And then based on those 3 cards, you then share a memory. One card has to do with what's called relatives, so your brothers or your sisters. Just a second. What was the other one?
Homemade.
I don't remember that.
She said homemade, relatives, brothers and sisters, and then I don't remember the second one.
Was it autumn? Was there a season?
Autumn, yes. Autumn.
Okay, so those were prompts. And now what is the person supposed to do with those? So if I say, if you pull those, homemade, autumn, and brother, all right, each one of you, give me a memory. Those are 3 cards that you pulled. We're going to pretend. Homemade, brother, or sister if you don't have a brother, and autumn. Go for it.
You want us to say it?
Yep, say it.
I think we did a dinner at home on Thanksgiving, but it wasn't for Thanksgiving. But it was a big homemade dinner. I think they like called it Ancestors Day or something.
When was that?
Like last year.
Where? Miami or?
Yes, it was in Miami.
Okay, Miami. Who was there?
My whole family, pretty much. Well, my whole immediate family.
Okay. All right.
Well, I was gonna say actually, what Adai said is something similar that we do, like when it's near Thanksgiving, but it's not for Thanksgiving. We call it Family Day, similar to what he said, Ancestors Day. Also happens in the fall.
So tell me about one. Tell me about your favorite one.
Well, I think it happened 2 years ago in 2015. Sometimes it's held at our house, but it was held at our aunt's house, and that one's my favorite one because I got to see more of my relatives.
Was that in Louisville or?
No, it's in Indiana.
Oh, okay, wow, beautiful, excellent. Okay, so do y'all see what's happening? Okay, so there are 3 prompts, and then based on those 3 prompts, okay, then memories pop out. Okay. Malachi, I'm glad you joined us again. All right.
I'm here.
I hear you. Last you left, I asked you to share with me a question that I'd put that you had written down. What was it? What's the question?
Think of a time of a problem or a challenge that their presence made a difference. Where
their presence made a difference. There's a problem or a challenge that their family and at the same time, that particular problem is one where their presence, something that they did or didn't do, made a difference. All right, and then you ask them what is it that they did and follow up from there. Okay, so now we're dealing with something called a Rememory game, and we're going to create a FLP game. Okay, so if we were, does everybody think that's cool? That what we just did, as a way to get a die and a solid remembering. Remembering. Okay. Whose keyboard is typing really loud?
That's Malachi.
Oh, sorry.
Mic down, baby. Thank you very much. All right, so so how might we use that? You think we could use such thing for us to generate memories? I mean, it'd be a nice game for you to play with your family or others. You're like, okay, this is a part of our family little project, and we have to get memories and stories. Okay, and so who's that? Malachi says, oh, okay, homemade. I think my dad's homemade pineapple cake gymnastics because I'm always doing flips in the autumn. I think of the big dinner my room cooked for Ancestors Day. A lot of food I was stuffed. All right, very good, Malachi. Glad you're up with us. Okay. So so we have to what are some categories? So there are 3 different. I'll be purchasing that game so that we'll know what the cards are. But let's think even before it comes. What are some categories? They have generational. So there's one category of cards that has family. So she pulled out, could have been, I said brother, could have been sister, could have been mother, could have been grandfather. Okay, so we want to keep that, right? We want to keep that stack of cards, that category of cards, right? You think? Generation?
Yes.
And relatives. All right, that's a category.
Excuse me, Baba Wakasa.
Yes, ma'am.
I just looked up the a virtual rememory game, and it comes up that we can create. I want to put the link in the chat, and I named it Aya Rememory game. When you do it, you can put whatever type of questions you want, and you have to match the memory.
Okay, not sign in, match the memory. Okay, log in or sign in. I don't want to sign in with any of those.
It says sign.
Yeah, I know. I like to use my my email address. But I'll pick the Google account just so that I can. Yeah.
That's weird. It doesn't come up as a.
Okay, so I got match the memory, log out, play,
Yeah.
create.
That's the same one I put inside of the chat.
Yeah, I'm there. It's just that when I put there, I don't see the overview at all. I see the it tells me the game. These views will automatically update when you change the values to the left. Smith family, remember game, 8 matches.
Oh, it restarted for you then.
Well, yeah, well, of course it's yours. All right, I'm willing to look at that. So, in terms of what, how it works here, it seems like it's about matching one memory with another. So we'll have to look at it. So great find, and we'll see. Because I actually want to, it'd be great to create a virtual version so we don't have to print out boxes and cards, and that be expensive. And right now, regardless of what medium we use, virtual or printed, I want to say what the cards are, okay? And what the categories are. One category is generations and relatives. What's another category you want to think we can keep, you recommend for the FLP memory game? What's an important category that you think will help to generate memories?
Feelings and legacies.
Okay, well, just brainstorming. So type in the text chat. So type that. Anybody else? Locations. Locations is a category. Feelings, legacy. Keep going, everybody. What are your ideas about categories? Right, in the Rememory game, they have 3 prompts. One is generational, and I don't know the other 2 what categories. We don't have to know that. History wouldn't work. How would history work, Adai, as a category?
I don't know, actually. I regretted it when I put it.
It's okay. It's all right. No, this is a brainstorm. I just want to know how it works. It may, because I'm not saying it wouldn't. When I ask how, it means you may have an idea about how to do it in your head that I don't know. So I wasn't trying to criticize it. Okay. All right. What else do we have? Food. Okay. Important relics. You mean, so on a card, in that category, we might have bracelet, like tractor, like, because we don't want to pull up. Okay, so I got the idea, AJ. Malachi says food or school. Okay. All right, Ola, I don't see your contribution. Asala, I don't see your contribution. Ayodele, I don't see your contribution. What's up with that? Oh, funny moments. Yes, I see. So I could go into feelings, like funny moments, like sad moments, like terrifying, moments, like joyful. Pain is in my heart, tearing me apart. All right. I know y'all don't know. That's the Ohio players, way, way, way back. Get me started. I'll put down some Earth, Wind, and Fire on y'all. How about music? Does anybody put music already? Or musical groups. Can't leave your mic is open. Okay, so I'm going to order the Rememory game to see if there's some that are there. And also I want us to be thinking about, and we'll keep shaping this game out. I'll check out this virtual game, Master Memory, and any other ideas that y'all have or things that you may find of how we can make this happen. Now, the first thing would be for us to do what we were doing here, as we heard 2 memories being generated by 3 prompts, okay? And then I want you to be able to do that with your family. And then so you're comfortable then doing it with uncles, aunts, and others, okay? And so your job is to turn the recording on so that as the memories start flying, you're getting them. All right. Like I learned about Asala and her folks in Indiana, and every 2 years, 2 years ago, there was this ancestral dinner, and she got to know many more people of her cousins and others. Yes, Kennedy.
When we're asking these questions, we can also, if we have some information that, like, some of the questions we can answer ourselves that us and our parents went through, can we also put that information, or does it have to be from our parents?
You can tell a story about your experience in your family lore. Okay. But when we're doing this particular kind of game to generate memories, we're really they would be pulling out 3 prompts, so it would be for the physical game, it would be like a category, and they had 3 stacks of cards to choose from, and they pull from this card, and that you might have a die, a dice, what I'm saying, to roll it to see who goes first. Okay. And then we can even get a way of rating it to see even who wins. We have to figure that out. Okay. But they pull a card, and out of this card, it might say grandmother, because that's from the relative and generational stack. Then there's another stack, let's say, and it's they pull dance. And then another stack, let's say they pull accomplishment. All right. So now I'm gonna, and then they like whatever memory comes out from those prompts. All right. So I just made those prompts up. I want you to practice. I already got 2 people who've done this. Adai and Asala, so let me go fishing. Any volunteers?
Volunteers for?
I'm sorry, you were not paying attention. Okay. Now, I understand that you like to do things quickly, and like finding this other game. You also need to stay focused. Whenever I'm talking, you cannot be just going all over the place. All right. You don't get more kudos for what else you find when you don't know what's going on. Okay. All right. So who knows the question? Who's ready? Who's ready to jump in with those prompts? Okay, Malachi and AJ. Do you remember the prompts, AJ?
The prompt that you assigned.
What was this one in my hypothetical example? What was this one?
I remember you talking about different ways that we could go about choosing who would go first on deciding what we would do.
All right. So the dice is rolled. Your grandparent or whomever it is got to go first. Well, it was their turn. They pulled, and they pulled out of this stack. And this stack said what?
That stack could be either like a category like music.
All right. So, now I just went through them, and you weren't paying attention either. Huh? I went through, and I assigned hypothetically for this stack, for each one of these stacks. They're 1, 2, 3. They're categories. All right. Who remembers the first one? Okay, Kadir.
Grandmother.
Grandmother. All right, so that's the first thing you pulled, AJ. Grandmother. Who remembers the second one?
Dance.
Dance. Very good. Okay. Now, do you all understand Kadir was paying attention? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And the last was what?
Accomplishments.
All right. So, AJ, you have grandmother, dance, and accomplishments. Go for it. Malachi, you're next.
So I'll draw dance. So when I used to stay in an apartment complex in New Jersey by Summit Ave, we meet.
Has this? Are you connecting grandmother and dance and accomplishments in any way?
Yeah, I was just about to do that.
Okay, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Go ahead. Okay. I forgot.
So okay, so the apartment was owned by my grandmother at the time, and we stayed with her. So that's how she comes in. And we were dancing at the time, and I was dancing on top of a table because, all right, so I had a move, and it was a really cool move, and it didn't work out that time. So I was dancing on top of a table. It was like a fold-up table, and I hit the move, and I was like, oof, and everybody was like, oh, and then I got too hyped, and I fell off. And then one of the things from the table hit my tooth and chipped it. And that was something that I remembered there, because that's how I remembered it. So yeah, I mean, I accomplished. It was my grandmother's house. I was dancing during the time, and I accomplished the dance move. So yeah, that's how it relates.
All right. See, y'all got that?
That was a good one.
That was fantastic. You see, right? How just pulling from random categories help him put together that. I mean, pull up that memory. So do y'all see how this can work to help your uncles and aunts and parents and whatever? Because sometimes when you just ask, well, tell me about a story, or tell me, they be this might bring a little excitement to it, don't you think? Okay. So, all right, Malachi, you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, give me your memory from grandmother, dance, and accomplishments, whatever comes up.
Oh, for accomplishments,
No. Well, go ahead. Is grandmother gonna be in there in any way? Or you just focus on your accomplishments? Come on, Malachi, you got to respond a little more quickly. Hello? Earth to Malachi. Earth to Malachi.
Hello?
Yes, come on.
I'm here. Sorry, my internet. Okay. All right, for accomplishments, I did my 180 for 6 days straight.
Wonderful. What does that got to do with your grandmother?
Oh. We have to link all of them together.
You may not get them all, but you're trying to let all three of them kind of simmer into something. Whereas grandmother and dance. So you're not just picking your accomplishments, okay? When you think of grandmother, dance, and accomplishments, what memories come up? Okay, you think about it. Kadira? You got a funky grandmama. I know she dances all the time. But it doesn't have to be about her dancing. You know, AJ is about him dancing.
Right. I'm not sure.
Just let it come. When you think of them, and maybe, you know, it's fuzzy. It doesn't have to be specific. Come on, grandmother, dance, and accomplishments. If you can't use all three, use two.
Well, like when I think of grandmother and dancing, like the memory that comes up is not of her dancing, it's of my family like, coming together and listening to music. Okay. But it doesn't really relate so much to it, so that's why I didn't really share that.
Okay. Have you ever seen your grandmother dance?
Yeah, somewhat like play around dance, but not like for real, for real.
Oh, not for real. She ain't, like she don't get down. She's not doing an AJ on top of the table.
No.
Okay. Is your mother there?
Yes, but I'm not sure if she's up yet.
Okay. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to give those 3 prompts to your mother.
Okay.
And say, all right, give me a memory. Okay. So y'all see how, we're going to work it and refine it, but you see how it works, right? All right. Very good. I didn't get any head nods from you, Ola, or thumbs up. I didn't get a head nod or thumb up from you, Adai, or I didn't see it. I got a thumbs up. So when I ask something like, do y'all get it? I got to have some kind of now. Thank you. Very good. If you can't see it on your screen, that means I can't see it. All right. Okay. Yes, Kennedy?
Can I go next?
Sure. You want to make up a story from those 3 prompts?
Yes, sir.
You got it.
It was graduation time in pre-K, and I was 4 years old. My grandmother and my grandfather actually, I called them and they weren't able to make it, and I was really sad because they had to go to some party and they weren't able to make it. It was actually my grandmother. And I graduated from pre-K was my accomplishment, and also it involved a lot of dancing and singing for my graduation.
All right. Excellent. That's a memory. It came up. Okay. Very good. So what you want to do is, as you have them think of things like that, then, so we definitely want to keep a generational one in there. And if you want to play with this while we are getting it all together, you can do that. But make sure you have a generational piece, okay? So that would be dad, that would be brother, that would be sister, that would be, you know what I'm saying, some relative. And then you could use some that we've thought about here, like funny moments or sad moments. Suppose you put together, grandfather, sad moments, and let's see, what are the other category that you put? Legacy or location. Let's do it. And if I think about that, I think about when my grandfather was in the hospital, Granddaddy Marsh. And I visited him, and he was a minister, Christian minister. And he asked me, or I picked up the Bible that was beside his bed and started reading from it. And there were some key passages that I was reading. And then he passed. Not then, a few days later. Okay. So now you could, if you were interviewing me, you could ask me some things about that, right? Right? You think that would be a good story? Me sitting on my grandfather's bed, days before he passed, reading passages from the Bible. Right? Like, what's some follow-up questions? We're out of time. All right. So what we're going to call this right now is 3 prompts. Okay. And notice that they were random. All right. I had no idea that AJ would bust a move on the table. Okay. How do I know that? All right. I had no idea about the family ancestor dinners, either in Miami or Indiana. And just talking about the prompts, there were random prompts, often generates the memory. And it creates an environment where it makes it kind of fun, don't you think? So if you can help make this fun for your family, then you'll get more memories, right? There we go. All right. All right, it's time. I hope you've enjoyed class. We focused on 2 things. One is Rememory, and the other is well, three things actually. Following up from what Ina Etna asked you, please continue to do that. The next thing we focused on was adding expertise to identity and inspiration that we get from our history. And the third thing was creating a version of Rememory, a family lore project memory game based on what we learned from the game Rememory. All right. And we decided that there were going to be three prompts, prompts from three different categories. We haven't decided on those categories, but we talked about it and brainstormed some ideas, and you can use them for yourself and for your brothers and sisters and parents to begin to see how we can work, and then we'll keep improving on it. All right. Any appreciations right quick before you go? Anything you appreciate about this class?
I appreciate this learning with everybody else, and I appreciate this class so I can learn more about my family.
Mo.
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 Any other appreciation? Yep.
I'm appreciative that of the atmosphere of the classroom. I like the energy and how everybody was all positive and that we shared, different experiences with each other. Appreciative of that.
Mo.
Mo.
Me too.
I appreciate the game that you introduced to us. It seems like it would be fun.
Mo.
Mo.
I appreciate the effort that you take to make the Family Lore project a lot more fun than it potentially could be without these games and stuff we have. And I just appreciate everybody for the good energy.
Mo.
Mo.
I also appreciate the good energy in the class. I appreciate you telling us how we should tell the story to our future children, whatever. And I also appreciate hearing everyone's experiences when we went over this Rememory game. So I appreciate that, and I can't wait to play the game.
Mo.
Mo. Mo.
All right. Any more? Appreciation going once. Appreciation going twice. Kwaheri.